We're pregnant.
Really?
Yes.
What was your first impression of each other?
Well, it's no secret that I wasn't a huge fan of Calvin when I first met him.
It still hurts.
I didn't understand his world at that point in time. I've done a lot of growing since then, but when I first met him, I thought he was a con artist. I'm not gonna go as far as to say I was a hater, but I definitely was skeptical of him as a person, as a human being.
Well, you know, I didn't even know Ash existed because I knew Kim and Jace, but I didn't know they had a sister. And probably for good reason, because she was skeptical, quote unquote. So they just hid that bit from me because they knew I've got quite a sensitive, a sensitive soul.
I was being groomed.
Sure. And the first time I got to meet Ash was at a live event, which was a fantastic person and just nothing like the interactions and engagement we'd had online. I didn't know what all the fuss was about.
To be fair, you found that out quite some time after the fact.
That's true.
So we started out as friends, basically. We went from online enemies to real life friends, and we had a really great friendship for a good, 3 years before, you know, things developed into more than that.
Yeah. So after all of this, you know, hater fiasco, and I managed to win Ash over with my skills and charm and charisma and just passion.
You threw someone out of an event and then I was like, okay,
exactly. Just asserted my dominance.
Yeah. He's alright. Asserted your dominance.
So anyway, once I managed to use my NLP magic and manipulation skills to play the long con, Ash ended up doing a training program with us. Then just became a fangirl, started drinking from the Kool-Aid and doing all of her trainings and events, and would just volunteer. So
I loved it. I thought it was a great place to be and I got a lot out of the experience. I didn't realize how much I was going to get out of the experience.
Yeah, nor did I.
Yeah.
And then 2016, I wanted to get my health and fitness into shape, and Ash was obviously running a boot camp at the time, and I thought, well, if I'm going to take this area of my life seriously, I need someone that can coach me and support me, that's going to hold me to a higher standard, but also understands my world. And I was thinking about who that could be, and then I ended up asking Ash if she'd become my PT. For 6 months, we're in super close proximity, and Ash is training me and getting me into the best shape of my life. I had no idea that I'd be hiring a PT, and that I'd be falling in love. We ended up getting together in early 2017, and we've never looked back since.
Who made the first move, or how did you move from friendship into romance?
That's 100% me.
Yeah, I'm not a first move kind of gal.
No. I made the first move.
He was relentless.
I was relentless. I just knew. I knew from a long time in that there was something special about Ash, and there's a sense that she brought a sense of fun and playfulness to my life that I just have never experienced before. I'm a very intense, very strong-willed, very direct, very serious person.
It's come a long way since you met me.
Yeah, I have. And you know, Ash brings sunshine into the room. She it's like breathing. It's oxygen. It's so hard to describe for me because it's so polar opposite to who I am. But she makes everything better, and she also makes me believe and realize that ultimately nothing else really matters. And for me, that's really quite refreshing. So just such a bliss and a harmony when I was with her, and when I still am with her now. It hasn't changed. And you know, I still say that she's the best thing that ever happened to me. So once I realized that, there was no other option than for us to be together.
I think what's special to me about Calvin is definitely not so much the man that's on stage or the man that's in front of the camera or the man that's running the business. It was when I really got to see his values as a human being behind all of that, and how much he's committed to his family and how generous he is and how much time he has for other people, and just how much of a big heart he has really just shook me once I got to know him outside of the business world that we kind of played in mostly together. And, you know, seeing him on stage and everything, obviously he's phenomenal at what he does, but more than anything, it's the person that he is when no one's looking, and, you know, the drive and the work ethic and just the commitment to everyone and everything that's important to him is amazing and special, and that's what I love.
What was the moment for you, Calvin, where you knew you wanted to spend forever with Ash?
I remember our first date, which was in Bali. I flew Ash to Bali. We went to a place in Uluwatu called the Banyan Tree, and we had dinner overlooking the cliffs. And I remember asking the waitress to come over, and I asked for a napkin and a pen. She was quite perplexed by that. And then I sat down, and this is date one. Now, keeping in mind, we had known each other, so I don't recommend this as a first date strategy.
Definitely not.
But I said, Ash, I said, what do you want for the rest of your life? And we mapped out on that napkin effectively what we wanted our life to be like. And I don't know what I said or what I did on that napkin, but something she liked, and we stayed together. I had sort of started at the end of that year, started to think about how I wanted to propose. And so we proposed in the Maldives on the 20th of Feb 2018. And she said yes, which was beautiful.
It was phenomenal. He's lucky that he's a romantic every day of the week, because if he wasn't, I probably would have suspected something, that completely blindsided me, because he's just that type of man anyway. Like, any excuse to make me feel spoiled or be romantic or, you know, add a experience to our lives, he'll take that opportunity. So to me, it was just another one of his usual tricks.
And then, of course, as soon as you are engaged, you start thinking about a wedding. And we thought, well, we both are big on experiences. And so we thought, well, what if we were to do a destination wedding? And I remember sitting on the beach in Anantaravili, and we sort of just had a crazy idea of what if we could get married here in the Maldives.
It was just such a magical moment. I think it was our last night that we were there, and the sun was going down, and the entire time that we were there, it was just so surreal. It's just such a beautiful place. And every day you would just wake up and literally feel like you needed to pinch yourself, because it was that magical. And I think part of our last night there actually made us feel sad that, you know, we've got people in our lives that you know, maybe aren't living life the same way that we are and having the same experiences that we get to have.
Yeah.
So that thought process and thinking about, you know, our family and thinking about where we were, yeah, it just clicked that we needed to find a way to get them all to have that same experience that we were having in that moment.
Yeah.
And if we could combine that with our wedding, that would be an absolutely magical way to do it.
Unbelievable.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it was one of the best experiences of our lives, for sure.
Yeah.
That was nearly just over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
20th of Feb 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Special day.
So after we got married, we just hustled and worked hard in the business and had a really incredible lifestyle. We traveled to amazing places. We ran retreats in amazing places. And at this point, we're starting to try and figure out what the next phase is for us. And both of us had obviously already spoken about the fact that we definitely wanted to have a family, but the lifestyle that we were currently running and the way that we were currently running our business didn't necessarily transpose to settling down and having a baby. So along came COVID, which was actually a giant blessing in disguise for us.
Thankfully, in that 6 weeks, we made amazing things happen. Ash had just turned 30. I turned 30 in April, and so we'd celebrated a new decade. Well, then there's no reason to say that we can't start trying for a family.
I've always wanted to be a mum. Just having those little blessings running around the house. Like, I can't think of anything more special than that, and having that as a big part of our life moving forward. It was very exciting times. So we started trying. And
What month did we start?
It was May 2020.
And so I just assumed that we would start trying, and that, you know, I'd produce a child within probably a matter of minutes. And it didn't happen in the first month. I had no problems. Everyone's allowed a month. And then it didn't happen in the second month. And then it didn't happen in the third month. And so then a couple of months in, we're struggling, we're not getting anywhere. And I actually thought that we would have already been pregnant at this point.
Any woman that's trying for a baby can obviously relate to, and sorry, man as well, can relate to, you know, getting the negative test every month and getting your period every month, when all you really want to have happen is have that positive.
Super debilitating.
It was far more emotionally challenging than we initially anticipated. You have no power over the result of yes or no.
And so after a while, we thought, okay, well, maybe there's a challenge. All of Ash's checks were turning out fine. So then it was like, well, maybe there's something wrong with me. And so I went and got some testing done. And for a normal, healthy guy, you should have somewhere around about, I think it was like 250, 300 million sperm, effectively, like per milliliter. I had between 1.2 and 3.4 million. We then look at, well, why is that the case? And effectively comes down to lifestyle. And a big factor of that is hormones, and a big factor of that is stress. So I ended up taking some supplements and then saw at the end of 2020 and didn't have any love. And the 5th of January was basically when Ash is due for her period. So we do the test on the 5th of January and a big fat negative.
Sometimes in life things don't always go exactly as you had planned, but life has a really beautiful way of giving you exactly what you need at exactly the right time.
Little did we know that 2 days later we would have the surprise of a lifetime.
To the most important thing we've ever worked on together.
We love you and we're excited to welcome you into the world.